Hey guys, before we start the podcast, I want to remind all of the realtors out there about the Mixers with Affiliates at the car building on February 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. It is going to be a lot of fun. I sounded like Donald Trump there. I'm not doing that one. Hey guys, before we start the podcast this week, I want to remind all of the realtors out there about the Mixers with Affiliates at the car building on February 5th from 4 to 6. It's going to be super fun. There's going to be a bunch of tables set up with a lot of our partners in the other industries around our industry. Prizes. There's my phone. Prizes that are going to be given away. A lot of good food and drinks. It was formerly the Wine Down event. So think that, but with some food and stuff. And I think we are maxed out with affiliates. So every table is filled. There's going to be a lot of good networking there. You can, I'm sure you've seen the flyer. It's on like the front page of the MLS when you log on, and you can go in through the member portal and RSVP. Even though that's not required, it is, appreciated. And hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there. And when you come, you can let them know that I invited you, and then I think I win a prize for bringing in the most people. So hope to see you there. Again, February 5th from 4 to 6. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you should try to make it. It's not a huge long time commitment, and totally worth it. Good networking, fun times, and a lot of great affiliates there. But the event itself is sponsored by INB, so we thank them and everybody else for being involved. And we hope to see you February 5th at the car building from 4 to 6. All right, here comes the podcast. It's a good one. Mike Buscher is on today, so enjoy it. Back again.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. Real Estate for Real with Eric Pettigo. That's me. And back on the podcast today, one of the most featured and most talked about. You get brought up on almost every episode.
I've heard my name a few times.
All good.
For the most part, it's been very positive.
Mostly good.
Right. So somebody listens to me every once in a while.
I did have your son and your daughter-in-law on at one point. So, I'm sure they said a few things.
Probably as much off air as they did on.
I was getting ready to make the same joke. Certainly off air. But Mike, thanks for coming back.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Excited to be here.
What are we talking about?
You invited me. Generally, you have the topics. I think we're just going to talk a little bit about the evolution of the business, the evolution of Mike a little bit, and what's going on and stuff like that.
So what is going on?
Well, I think I'm kind of looking at a little bit of a transition. The real estate business is all-encompassing. I've been part of this company for a long time, actually. Shareholder in the company, and people know that. So it's I tell everybody it's my company because I feel like it is. Shared with a lot of other people.
Sure.
But I think everybody takes ownership there. So it's my company. We've been working on it for a long time. I've been in the agent management side for, 33 years now.
Is that real?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got in 1990, and I just sold real estate for about 3, and then transitioned into management. Julie,
that quick you transitioned into management?
Yeah. Julie gave me that opportunity.
I mean, Julie knew. I mean, she's been on here a few times too. She knew. She said right off the bat that you were going to be a manager.
I enjoyed it from day one. I actually asked her early on, we might have touched on this before, if I could do some of the training that she was doing. Yeah. And, there were some requirements that I had to go back through and things like that. But I enjoyed helping and teaching. It's kind of like coaching, and I kind of enjoyed that part. And then the opportunity came up, and it was a challenging decision because management is different than just selling. And I pulled the trigger and got in. And to this day, I could tell you, if we go back over to Clock Tower, I could take you to the basement, show you the seat I was sitting in at the meeting when she was going to announce that I was the new
Really?
manager, because I sat there sweating like a little dog. A lot of these people have been around a lot longer than me, and so, but I've done that for a long time, and we've kind of got the opportunity with the structure of the company and stuff with Mike O'Hear, Champagne and Pekin and all those kind of things, for me to just step back a little bit from the day-to-day management side of it.
Okay.
So that's kind of the direction we're going, and it allows me to not have to be at the office every day. And that's a big plus for me.
Sure.
I promise you the work hasn't stopped, but just not having to feel, and nobody's ever put pressure on me to be in the office every day.
You put that pressure on yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it any other way. So it just gives me a little chance to catch up on a few things and relax a little bit, work out a little bit more, some things like that to work on some stuff for me. And so far it's all right.
Okay. So when I called you the other day and said, "How's retirement?" It wasn't. It wasn't exactly accurate.
No, it's not. There is no retirement. And people have talked about. My wife has said that to people. We've been out, and she goes, "Mike's retiring," and I go, "No, I'm not retiring. I'm just kind of changing direction a little bit." You've coached sports.
Yes.
The hardest part that I found about coaching sports is when you decide not to coach, especially if you've got teams where 7th and 8th grade basketball, or whatever the case may be, and you got the 7th graders, and then at the end of the year you say, "I'm not doing it anymore," and that look on there's never a time to walk away.
Yeah.
And you don't. I promise you, if one of those kids came back to you and needed something, to this day, you would still do whatever they need.
The guys who coached me as a kid, when I see them now, how do I greet them?
Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah. Misty's chief of staff that works for her, I had as a freshman in basketball. Moved away to Nashville, had a baby, blah, blah, came back and got the job at Misty. When I walk into City Hall or wherever when I'm with my wife, that's all he says. "Hey, Coach." How you doing? And it makes me but if he needed something or any of those kids need something, you do it. And so I kind of use that as an example that you just don't walk away. You kind of step back for a little bit. And over time, it'll evolve a little bit, but it hasn't changed. So there is no retirement, just to clarify that.
Yeah, and I told you. And so this started because at the last shareholder meeting, you came up in front of everybody, and that's what you said. Right? I'm stepping back a little bit, and I'm sure you looked around at all the horrified faces in the crowd, and then you very nicely blamed it on me.
I did not. Yeah. That was not the intent.
It's Eric's fault.
I felt horrible about that. I called you after the fact because I felt terrible about that. That was not the intent.
The people at the table with me were like, "Thanks, Eric. Chase Mike Buscher out of the business. No. Nice work."
Just to clarify, the point I was making is the business is moving so fast and in such a different direction. And there's a point in time where the old dogs, it's like, it's worked this way forever. And I think if, as an athlete or anybody else, when you don't realize that there might be a better opportunity, shame on you.
Right.
And that's the one thing that I just don't want to do. I think that 2026 and some of the things that we have the potential to do in the real estate business, and especially with this company and moving forward, there's some really exciting stuff coming.
Yeah.
And I want to help with that. I don't want to hinder that. So.
Okay. And I don't think we would find anybody who would think that you would hinder anything, but it doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. You have contributed so much to this business here locally and have meant so much to so many agents here, and just been so instrumental in, building all these careers, all these flourishing agents. You've done enough. You can step back a little, and just like you said, like an old coach is always going to be a coach. I didn't mean to say old.
No.
But you know what I mean.
Yep.
And if any of us ever call you, you're going to answer the phone and help us out still.
Right.
You're not going to say, "Hey, not my problem."
I'm actually kind of excited. In your head, or at least in my head, I think I know kind of what's going to happen. And then I got involved. Again, my wife got me involved with a kind of a group that reads books and meets, and like a book club, so to speak.
They call that a book club. And
well, it's bigger than a book
normies,
club.
The normies call that a book club.
So the first book that I got invited with this group to read, and it's a pretty impressive group of people.
Okay.
Over at O'Shea Builders, they do it on a Wednesday morning at 6:30, and I mean, you're with owner Kellner's and the 186, and I mean, these are big business people.
Yeah, sure.
Well, the book they started reading was called The Energy Bus. Unbelievable book, and so you read it, and then you go discuss it and stuff like that. And I know I'm not going to tell you about the whole book because I think you may see it again. I promise you. That's
okay.
But one of the things that the bus driver on this bus, her name is Joy. And the question is, what joy do you bring to people? Because and it kind of ties into it. So, and she's a very positive, high energy type lady, and this guy was struggling and so on and so forth. And the first week we were there, one of the questions that somebody asked is, what joy do you bring to people that they'll miss? And I'm like, damn it. So, what I want to do, or it moving forward, is I really want to work a little bit more on some of those personal side relationships.
Yeah.
To you and I to grab coffee, go to lunch, do something, and talk about not your business or your plan, but talk about you and how it ties to the real estate business. And just for the record, I have to say Ketke's number one on the list because she told me she is. So, but and I
Keke.
but people that I've got to reach out to, especially the ones that I have the relationships with that I've been around for a long time, and do a little more personal stuff, if that makes sense.
It makes so much sense.
Touching in, because I think I can continue to help that way without having to deal with, okay, here's a repair addendum and stuff like that.
That makes so much more sense because it is, and I just had our new agent Felix in here talking beforehand because so he's joined the team, try to teach him the business. I also like teaching, turns out.
Yep.
I also really like selling, so I don't know that I could ever do like management, but I really like selling property. But I also really like helping people learn the business. It's like right there with me, But something I was explaining to him because I had to take a phone call, and it's a client of mine, and it's family property, and there's all these emotions tied into it. And I was trying to tell him what you don't learn until you start doing this is just how personal this business is. It's not just transactions. It is very emotional. It is, we have emotions wrapped up in it. Our clients have emotions wrapped up in it. And it affects your life because you're not clocking in and then clocking out and then going home and leaving your work at work. So it is so like woven into the lives we lead and the relationships we have outside of this business because it all just kind of blends together. Mm-hmm. And so as much as we need help with repair addendums, it's good to also just kind of, hey, how do we balance and juggle our lives with this business that we signed up for too? So now I'm going to call you every time my wife yells at me about something and say, what do I do, Mike?
I will probably have an answer for that after. No. The education part of it, and again, I thank Julie for the opportunity to do that. And I've said this before, and you know this as well as anything. You learn as much as you ever teach.
Yeah. Because
you just spend so much time with other people in different scenarios and things that you won't run into in your regular business. But when you get a chance to talk to somebody, it's like, holy cow.
No, you're good.
And I've said this before. I've gotten a lot of credit over the years for coming up with answers. I never came up with them. You and I worked on a problem. We solved it and had a really good solution. And then Becky Hendricks walks in, and it's similar. And I'm like, well, have you thought about this? And she's like, man, you know so everything. Smart. I go, yeah. I never really turned the credit down. But in reality, I did not. Because that's how you learn. And that's the best part about teaching. And whether you're doing it, you're going to see this with your team. You talked about your son and the things. There's some learning that he's going to do. Mm-hmm. New guy, there's going to be some things. and it's so much fun. And that's the great part about it, is to watch people go be successful, and you had just a tiny little part of it.
Yes.
And that's what, question come up yesterday morning. What motivates you? What feeds you? Feed the positive dog, so to speak. And for me, it's always been helping, watching that success. Again, whether it was, kids, family, elections, whatever the case may be. If I had a little part and it was and the person's happy about it, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That keeps me getting up every day.
Yeah, I can relate. I mean, when I first met you, I can say I got into this business for the wrong reasons. Because I remember you asking why and you asked Felix in the hallway, same question. What brought you to the business? He said, interested in it, and I want to help people. Mm-hmm. I said, I need to make more money.
There's not a wrong answer.
But once I got going, because I like helping people, but I didn't realize the impact that you would have. I mean, you don't know until you are at a closing table and somebody's just bought, their very first house, and they never thought they would ever be able to buy a house, and you played a part in that, and they're crying happy tears.
Yep.
And they're thanking you like, oh, this would have never happened without you. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. This is one of the best feelings in the world.
In all your podcasts and from the beginning, you really delved into why people do this and why they feel. A lot of talk about, almost talking people out of this particular blah, blah, blah. The public will never understand, I don't think, if you don't live this, that most of those, I'm going to say most, not all, but most of those deals aren't the big deals.
Oh.
These are the ones that really, the first-time buyer, the one that had to get out of a situation, or whatever, or my very first rental, whatever the case may be, that was kind of life-changing. People that have been through the process 4 or 5, 6 times, it's, again, still, and it's important, and we take care of them. But it's not the ones with tears in their eyes at a closing or something like that. And when you're selling grandma's house or mom and dad's house and things like that. And those are the things that just keep bringing you back.
Yeah.
It's like golf. It's that one shot that goes, okay, this is why it's worth it. I'll go put up with my 10 slices to get to that one.
Yes. And it's I don't know. We spend so much time, going down dead ends that go nowhere. And I don't think people understand that part of it as much as I looked at my mileage from last year, and I had a good year. Jace got going and he had a good start. And so the team did pretty well for its, first year, half year, I guess. But our mileage was like over 30,000. Right?
Right.
And it's like,
right.
Oh man, we did a lot of driving, and it, we didn't sell every single one of those houses, and some of those people didn't even buy anything at all. And it's just, I don't think the public will, like you said, the general public will never understand all that stuff, but it's the golf shot. It's, you get that one that really tugs at you, and it's like, well, I'm going to do this forever.
Well, that's car mileage.
Yeah.
There's some emotional mileage too.
Oh, buddy.
You had 30,000 emotional miles too, because as you refer to, you take that home. You lay awake at night thinking about why, or what happened, or what could I have done better.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that sewer hooked up? Whatever those things are, and that weighs you down. And sometimes, again, the process, what gets you back up? Now, again, most of us that are the entrepreneurial, and you get that, plus you still have a family to feed and things like that. Yeah. That drives you. But every once in a while, you need a little something. And that's really kind of what I want to try to focus on going forward, is let's work on some of the emotional stuff.
I like it. I had no gray hair when I started this business.
Neither did I.
None at all. I had a lot of physical stress from my last job, but
Yes.
I traded it in
Yes.
for this one. And I admittedly, I'm not great about separating work from personal.
Right.
And things get to me and bother me. And I'm so grateful that I have my wife who does a really good job of kind of keeping me, I would say, in check and keeping perspective. There's a couple listings have hit the market lately that maybe should have been mine, but weren't. And we were talking about something, and I came across one. I'm like, oh, here's that one. And she got I'm like mad at me a little bit. And I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And she's like, there's so much good that you could be focusing on. And you let this one bad thing ruin your day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, but it's so easy to get wrapped up in this emotionally and kind of forget all the good stuff going on. So I need help with that. As long as I've been doing this still, I still have a tough time separating and just saying, it's business, move forward. I still have this, and this going, and I've got appointments. I've got these listings coming. I've got so much good happening. And I'm mad about that.
And that's what I want to focus on.
Yeah.
So we got a little plan.
We've got a little plan?
Well, I do. Nobody else knows about it yet, but I do.
Okay.
So
secret plan? Talk about later?
Well,
not into microphones? That's why I said I didn't know before.
No. I'll just tell you what we're doing over there with this book.
Okay.
I'm going to do it here.
Oh.
So I'm gonna whoever wants to, and I'll get this set up. I got to work with Mike, but I'm gonna tie it into the Wednesday meetings and do 3 weeks, read the chapters, and then have a discussion.
Really?
Yeah, and just talk about that, because that's exactly what it deals with, is how do you recharge yourself and what do you do, and refers to energy vampires and things like that. I mean, but to sit around a table and we can do it even with some of the Zoom stuff involved. I think we'll figure it out. And then anybody that wants to is just let's take a look at that. Becky Hendricks walked into my office, a month ago. Said, "Hey, best book I ever read." Showed me. She goes, "Best book I've ever read."
Really?
I said, "What is it?" And it's a book called Super Communicators. So I ordered it online for my phone, and I ordered 2 hard copies for my daughter and my wife. I've never even looked at it. She said it's the best book. I've got it. They've got it. So far, it's an incredible book. I'm like, holy cow. See, and I can read that stuff a little bit and do some of those things, and then I'm just trying to figure out how to come back and share some of that.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of what my plan is. So I don't know if Todd Musso or Mike O or anybody else cares, but you're the man that knows now. So there you go.
You heard it here first. I think that's a great idea. So much of this, like while we're out there, I mean, our ultimate goal is to take the absolute best care of our clients as possible. And to be able to do that, we've got to be in the right mindset. Mm-hmm. So we can't be getting distracted or weighed down with the negative stuff and then still go out there and do our best job for our clients. Mm-hmm. So this is something that maybe we can all work on together to.
You said it's hard to separate.
It is.
You can't separate it. It's like church. You know, when they mix the water and the wine, the reason, this is Catholic Church, the reason they do that is because once it's mixed, you can't unmix it. And it's the same thing here. You can say you can unmix it, but because you are a realtor. You don't work in there. It is what you are. But you got to be aware of that with the family, the wife, the kids, everybody else, because if you're going to do this long term, you got to be able to balance that. And that's where the one thing that because we have limited time with each other and things like that, we focus so much on the fundamentals and here's what's going on. And we do work on some goals and forecasting stuff, but to work on the personal side of it that you can recognize, because you start getting rub at home with your wife because that's all that happens.
Yeah.
And Anthony and Crystal, and I know they told the story, I believe, I know Misty's told the story of, we went to dinner one time and I was on the phone with an agent that the whole dinner went through when I was on the phone.
Yeah.
Her and I at dinner. She still reminds me of that. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so, there's things that are going to happen, but you got to recognize then how do I fix this and where do I go? And so it's a little more holistic approach on just be aware of it. And a lot of it's just awareness.
Yeah, so much of it. When I first started, there was no off switch. Mm-hmm. It was never too early. It was never too late. It didn't matter what we had going on. No off switch. Mm-hmm. It's hard, especially as a newer agent, to think that you could ever get to a point where, I can, that we've got a rule at home. No work calls before 9:00. That's when we're getting up, and Amanda and I are talking, hanging out, we're having coffee, and just time for us to, and the phone goes off. Hey, no work calls before 9:00.
Right.
They can wait a little bit, but that was a different, I had a different mindset when I got started. I did not want to lose anything, so if anything came through, but it's that balance. And Jace and his girlfriend have been together a couple years now, and they went out to eat a nice dinner the other night for their 2-year anniversary. Mm-hmm. And he's got a deal going on so he's not allowed to be on his phone during dinner. Sneaks off to the bathroom, calls me. I'm ratting you out, Jace, only because I know that Peyton doesn't listen to this podcast. He said, "Hey, Dad, I snuck to the bathroom. I need you can you call this lady and talk to her a little bit about this?"
Yep.
Yeah, okay, bud. And then as soon as they get back to our house, he's got to go jump on a call and do something. And my wife, Amanda, said to Jace's girlfriend, "Welcome to the life."
Right.
I mean, there's a part of that, right? We can still balance it and still make sure that we turn it off for meals and we turn it off at an appropriate time at night, and but there is still a part of it, no matter what, where it's going to take us out of whatever you're in the middle of because you have to. And a spouse has to be understanding if you're going to be involved with a realtor that's
correct,
going to be part of your life.
Right. But I think some communication helps with that.
Yeah.
I think you're here for a reason. I think Jace is here for a reason. There's a lot of people that can't do that, that don't want to do that.
Yeah.
When I clock out at 4:30, I'm done. And a lot of friends and people that I grew up with that I watched that, man, when they go home, they go home.
Yeah.
And they don't think, and I thought some days, man, I would love to just, all I have to do is go home and watch Illinois tonight. Oh, not 14
big
different
game
things.
Last night,
yeah. But I couldn't do it. There's no way. And I've told people over the years, I was on a Pepsi route before where there were no hours. Then I get into the real estate business where there's no hours. You try to put me in a box, and you couldn't do it to me.
No.
So we're here for a reason, but that's part of your personality, what develops, and who you are. And it's hard to say, okay, now you got to just completely shut it off.
Yeah.
But it is a give and take and a little negotiation.
And part of the reason I'm putting in this work now to try and build a team is I know that's going to take a lot of my time, and I'm willing to invest that time now because I ultimately want to get to a place where I've got I can leave the country maybe for a little bit and not have to necessarily pay for the phone package and the internet package. And I can just leave my phone with someone and go and separate for a little bit. And I know it's going to take a lot on the front end to get to that point, but I want to get to that point. I love this. Right. This is it. Like you said, this is who I am. I never take off my realtor hat regardless of what I'm doing, but I do want to be able to at some point in my life just unplug for a little bit.
Well, you have to.
Don't you?
Because otherwise you start spinning just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. And you have to, if you're lifting weights, you don't do 40 reps all at the same time. You do 10, you rest, you do 10, and there's a reason for that because your body reacts better to it. And same thing here. At some point in time, you have to disconnect, or your attitude changes a little bit, or you get tired, or you cut a corner. And so you have to step back. And it's really, really hard to do because of that almost fear factor that nobody's going to handle it as well as you do.
Yeah.
You got to get comfortable with that. And you'll figure out, everybody does, it's going to be here tomorrow. And if one deal goes away because you decide to take a week off, okay.
Right.
Okay. It's okay.
Yes. It's taken a little.
Now, Jace won't believe that right now, but you will.
Yeah. And I see that's another thing too, because that's always been one of my big hangups is I have a way that I like to do things. And if anybody is going to be out there working with my name, I want it to be done the way that I do things. And so for somebody who was in your position and, and Mike O, not like managing broker of hundreds of agents that are all out there just selling, I don't know that I could handle that kind of stress that, okay, we want to make sure that every single one of our agents are out there, representing,
doing it perfect,
the standard of our company, and it's impossible.
It is, but that's hard to accept because, I've told people over the years, the only time that you see me get on a real soapbox is if you're doing something that hurts the reputation of the company.
Yes,
because that has an effect on everybody. We're going to make mistakes. I've talked to clients so many times over the year, and I tell them we try to be perfect. We're not.
No.
And there's no way. So if there's a mistake, we'll fix it. We'll try to do the best we can and go from there. But you do. That's one of the things, and you worry about that on a bigger scale when you're at that level because, and the bigger you grow, there's less control over that. Team structure, there's even less control over that. So you try to do the best that you can, and the culture and the environment helps a lot because people conform to the way we do things. Mm-hmm. Even over the years, somebody that we would consider a little renegade comes in. We were talking, I think maybe before we got on air, with Anthony and even Jace. That younger kids coming in, and Anthony knew more about the business than I did.
Sure.
Thought. And I love that approach. He doesn't have to do things the same way. We got to look at different stuff. But it took a little bit of time, and then one day it's kind of like, okay, I get it. There's certain lines I have to color in.
Yeah.
And yes, you do. And then once you figure that out, then you put your own flair on and stuff like that. So people adapt to the way we kind of do business and stuff like that. And as much business as we do and transactions we run through here, we don't have, I'm going to knock on the table right here,
This is real wood.
big issues that we have to deal with.
Thankfully.
Yeah. And we want to keep that up.
Yeah. And, like you said, we all make mistakes. And I know when I do, because it still happens, I hold myself to a pretty high standard, and I come on here and I do my best to educate, and I talk about how much I like to teach, and I pride myself on knowing, the contracts and knowing, and I make TikToks trying to be helpful. And so then when I mess up, oh buddy, mm-hmm. I question everything. Because I had a big mess up last year, a costly one. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my wife like, I'm a fraud. I'm not good at this job. Can you believe the mistake I made? Mm-hmm. I'm out here just pretending to be good at this job, and I'm obviously terrible at it because I'm prisoner of the moment.
Correct.
But
and you're hard on yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's probably not healthy, but I want the people working with me to be the same way.
Well, the beauty of that whole scenario, and I've been a big proponent of this. Again, we do a whole bunch of business and a whole bunch of units. None of that matters, in my opinion, to the consumer you're dealing with today. Now, it might help them look at us and say, hey, they're doing something really well. But when you're in the transaction and I'm your client, I don't care how many people you've sold. I don't care how many listings you've had. I care about me. And if you get too broad and overlook me, you're going to lose me. because that's a feeling that I can get right away. So that focus on that one deal, that one client at a time. And I think we do a really good job of that because we've hammered that home a lot, tried to saying, look, this is the one that matters. And whether this is a $150,000 deal or an $800,000 makes no difference. This is the client that you're dealing with. And if you look them in the eye and say, here's what I'm going to do, or online or whatever we do now, see, that's that old part.
Yeah, right.
Then deliver.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that most of the agents really strive for, because I've had lots of conversations with people just been out of shape about a deal, something happened that shouldn't have, and so on and so forth. And that's because they care about that client.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, and it should. And something you brought up, because we do a crazy amount of business at this office. Like when you see the numbers, it's how is that even possible? Right? I mean, when I got into this business and came here, we were doing a crazy amount of business, and now, and so I can't even wrap my head around. But it's almost it can be helpful when you go out and you say, listen, with the real estate group, we do X amount. Our formula works. Clearly, we've got the stats to back it up. We've done this many units, this much volume. You work with us, you're working with the best, and you know that your best chance of having the best results. But you don't want it to be too much to where they say, well, so what am I? I'm just another one of these numbers. You guys are doing this many units, so I'm going to go over here where they'll have a little more time for me.
Correct.
Personally. So
there's a balance.
There is. And it's another part of this job that, again, aren't in the text. It's not in the textbooks. It's you need to make your clients feel like they are your only clients
at that time.
At that time, right? I am invested in what we are working on here. Now, a harsh reality comes in when they text you and say, hey, I'm over here at this house. Can you let me in 15 minutes? And you have to go, I mean, I have other clients and other obligations. So no,
but
what?
You said,
yeah. But when you're dealing with them, it's so important to be fully invested and take the time that they need you to take, and don't be taking other phone calls or texting other clients. Just, you have to be able to, sorry, I got to take this.
Nope. But that's where it's kind of interesting to watch some of the generational differences, because the younger than me generation, which is most of them, they don't sometimes see that that's offensive.
Right.
That well, I can absolutely, because that's the way I communicate and stuff like that. And some of their clients could care less, because that's the world they live in. It makes me cringe, because I'm like, there's no way. Why would you even do that? Blah blah blah. And that's where you still have to adapt to the changing markets and the changing people and stuff like that. Common courtesy. If you can make somebody feel good, then that rule is going to stick around forever.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time, anytime you can do that personal contact and that one-on-one, whether it's, again, relationship, home, work, whatever the case may be, that's not going to go away. I don't care what the technology is.
I agree. And you're right. It is, part of it is knowing your clients, like you said, because if you got a 25-year-old agent showing a 25-year-old client a house, they're probably both walking through on their phone the whole time.
But those 25-year-olds grew up with a phone, and an iPad, and a TV. So
that there's no offense.
Correct.
There, right?
They didn't run around outside and have to go find somebody to shoot hoops with or something like that. And so that's what they understand. And then when we go, well, you should really. What?
They don't get it.
Right.
And that's okay, because I've said this before. Our generation put devices in this generation's hands.
Correct.
When they were like 2 and 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're young adults, and we are criticizing them for always having their devices in their hand. The same ones that we put in their hands as a child and have continued to pay for.
Right.
but now we're like, oh, you just got your head in your phone all day. Like, yeah.
One of the things because I did, before one of these meetings, I did a little research on, subliminal positive energy stuff.
Okay.
And one of the things that I found, your old buddy AI, was the first 30 minutes of the day, don't check your email, don't read the news, which, again, that phone is next to my bed.
Yeah.
And when I wake up in the morning, guess what I do?
You check it.
I grab the phone. And the only email that I remember is the one that was crappy. And then my day starts off. So the last week or so, I've been working really hard to just not give me 30 minutes, get up, get showered, whatever it is I'm doing, without looking at any of that. I don't turn the news on. I don't do anything because I don't let me get my head straight, and we're going to see if it works. Because it made sense when I read that. I'm like, okay, I get up with a bad taste in my mouth, and then I got to go come into the office and go, hey.
Right.
And that's harder to do.
Yeah, and then you kind of have to recalibrate, shake that off, and
Yes.
get in there. And my wife has said the same thing. Like, you're not supposed to be on your phone. Like, I think it was 30 minutes. You guys must have seen the same thing.
She's a pretty smart gal.
She really is. By the way, absolutely loves you and gives you, doesn't know you that well, but just, I think, well enough to, she gives you a whole lot of the credit for, and I get a little bit too, for just making such a huge change in our lives when we needed it to happen. I know, I've talked about it a little bit on here, but I had so much writing on this that this had to work for me. And without you and without Pat
Salinger,
there was, I may have done okay. I don't know, but I just eternally grateful. And my wife too. And she just somebody who thinks the absolute world of you, who you probably don't even know that well, but that's got to feel pretty good to know that just, degrees of separation there, because she knows, because I've told her the impact you've had on me and how much I value having you as a resource for building this has made her absolutely love you. Well, so
I appreciate that.
Yeah, she thinks the entire world of you. And so when I went home after that shareholder meeting, Mike stepping back, I think it hit her a little bit too. I said, but he said he's not leaving. He said he's not leaving, and he said it's my fault. And, but
hopefully her mother thought that back in high school too.
No, and you graduated with her mom,
yes.
Right? And no, Terry thinks the world of you
she's
as
awesome.
well. Yeah.
We've gotten along since I met.
I know. I'm happy. I'm happy in the family I've married into. So far,
Yes, you should be.
But they derailed that there. I didn't mean to make that weird, but it's just.
I think anybody that thinks, again, I could give you the list, and it starts with Julie and Cindy, and I could go through the people that did that for me. Kathy LaSalle, and there's a whole bunch of them that I wouldn't be sitting here if they didn't have the patience, and because I was one of those guys that came in, and Julie will tell you if she hasn't. When I got into the management, I wasn't even sure what I was doing selling real estate at that point, and then she makes me a manager, and I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'd come busting in her office, I don't know how many times, to go, we need to do this. Here's a great idea. And she would look at me and go, okay, who's going to use it? How are we going to pay for it? I'm like, I don't know.
It's a good idea, though, right?
And she's like, all right, you come back, Mike. And she forced me to get better at so many things and she never, and I've asked her this so many times over the years about certain specific things. I go, were you doing that on purpose, or was that just you saying? And she would never really answer me, and may not even remember, because I thought about it so many times. Did she set me up on purpose, or is it just the way that she says this is the business is and stuff? Whatever it is, I'm eternally grateful because it made me who I am.
Yeah.
And so that's where that giving, and you're doing it now with your team. So you're passing that on so that someday somebody's going to say the exact same thing about you. And that's the rewarding part about being a realtor.
Yeah.
It's not just how many properties can I sell and how much money can I make, but whose life do you get to change?
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe on some subliminal level, I took that and I wanted that too a little bit. So that's why I've really I don't know. I just want to teach people how to do this and to be, for one, good at it, but to feel that feeling of just like it's such a gratifying feeling to make a big difference, and I want other people to feel that.
You have an opportunity, we all do, to make a difference in people's lives that we don't even know yet.
Yes.
That your grandson might get in the real estate business. You
Whoa.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, because we set up the foundation, we build on a foundation that a lot of people set up. And you've heard me teaching stuff refer to the John B's and the people that really had a much more challenging, some of the things they changed in the business. And then I got to see some of this, the technology changes in MLS books and blah, blah, blah. And those were huge issues. And then we lay a foundation for people coming in. You're laying a foundation for the next group, but you're also laying it for people that we don't even know are going to get in the business yet.
Yeah.
And that, when you can sit back after 30, 40 years in the business and put your feet up and go, I had a little bit to do with that. That's kind of the fulfilling part of what we do. Full circle.
It goes quick though, right?
It goes really fast.
Right, because so I think when I started, I thought I remembered you saying, well, I've mentioned it plenty of times on here, and I've now told this to both Jace and to Felix. I'm talking to a few other people too, that I'm trying to recruit in, that it doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. The people that who know you and trust you would rather work with you than me. And I think you told me when I started, like, I've been in this business 25 years. Does that sound right?
When you started?
When
yes.
I started.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, like, I'm going into my 13th year now.
Okay.
So
23.
it goes really quick. Mm-hmm. There are times when I still feel like a relatively new agent, depending on the room I'm in.
Yep.
And then,
And there's times I feel like a really old agent when people go, I've been 13. No. And then I see people's kids. I mean, again, the position I'm in, I don't know how many times the first time moms, they would come in and they explain to me how they're going to have this baby, and 10 minutes later they're going to be back to work and all that, which I just pat them on the head and go, okay. And now their kids are dry. I'm like, you haven't been in the business that long, let alone for your kids to be grown up.
Yeah.
And it, all of a sudden, Angie Miller's been doing this for 20 years. I go, no, you haven't.
I just talked to her in the parking lot today.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
And so it does. And just like, kids grow and everything else, a little out of sight, out of mind. You don't see them every day. And pretty soon it's like, holy cow.
They're grown.
And it just keeps churning. And that's the one thing that we can't stop. So.
Yeah, it goes quick, and you get going in this, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've been at this a while.
Right.
I did the family business, I don't know, for 17 years or something out of high school, 16, 17 years. And the fact that I've almost caught that in real estate is crazy to me.
Right.
But you know what? The on and off switch that we were talking about earlier, because I've never had a 9-to-5 in my life. McDonald's in high school. This is my third job. Real estate is my third job. McDonald's in high school, right to working for the family business, laying sod, and then into real estate. But working for the family business, that was a seasonal job. And so the weather dictated your hours. It was never a 9-to-5. If it was really hot out, guess what? We're hitting it early.
Right.
We're getting up before the sun and getting out there and getting work done so that by the time 2 p.m. hits and it's scorching hot, we're out of there. If it's raining, we're off. If we got a window to get stuff done, if there's rain coming tomorrow, guess what? We're staying late tonight to get this work done. So it was never a set schedule. So my mindset has always been work when you can work. Right. And so then when I got into this and it's work when you can work, right, and that's what I take going in, well, it doesn't matter if it's raining.
Yeah,
or
it doesn't
snowing.
matter
I can
how hot
work.
it is and what. Correct.
Right. And so it took me some time to be like, oh, well, now there's no outside influence on when you can and can't work. So that you have to do that from the inside. So that took a little bit because my brain was trained for 16 or 17 years to, if you can work.
Yep. Can I tell you a quick sod story?
You can tell me whatever you want. We got all the time. Well, I got to be somewhere at 2. So
The good friend of mine, guys I grew up in the neighborhood, and we still get together every once in a while. I saw them a week or so ago, and this story came up a little bit. But when you're growing up and young adults and stuff, you're helping. You're blah blah blah.
yeah.
And a friend of mine built a house out on Gabbert Road. So he bought a lot, big lot, and the house was up, and then there's a little valley thing. So he built this house. Everything was great, and helped out a little bit. And then one day he called. He said, "Hey, Saturday we're going to lay some sod." He goes, would you be available? I go, sure. I'll come out there. Well, he neglected to tell me that the little valley that was there he grew the grass.
Oh.
And then he went and rented a sod cutter. And then he had a lawnmower with a trailer on the back.
Uh-huh.
And I got to go to the valley and cut sod.
Yay.
And I told him about that last week when I go in. I go, that was the least explanation of helping me out and the worst job I've ever had that I can remember.
Yeah.
That was no air down there. And if anybody hasn't cut sod, that is no fun.
Was it a motorized sod cutter or one that
I
you
think
got to
it was.
Okay, so
but
you're lucky.
I'm still rolling it up,
Yeah.
lifting it on the trailer. I thought I will never talk to this man again.
It's tough, man.
But I have. So
It's tough business.
yeah, it was like a trick.
Yeah.
Hey, we're just gonna. I thought I'll go out. I can unroll some sod. Will be on a trailer and no.
What's wild
So
is
God bless you for what you did for that many years.
how your body gets used to it. Which is wild because if you go do it for a day, this is the worst thing ever. I'm never doing this again. Your body gets used to it.
Mine's not.
Yeah. If you were to do it
Right.
every day, and then what happens is winter comes and you don't, and then you go back to work, and you feel that feeling once a year. For about a week or two, you feel that feeling every day of what is this?
Right. It's just real. I don't care.
Yeah.
The small experience I had, there is no easy job there. There is no easy part of it.
Nope. No.
I thought, why don't you call me when it's all done and I'll water it for you?
You want to know what's weird? I loved it. I loved that job. I really, really enjoyed it. But my body couldn't do it anymore.
Sure.
I was
Just beat you up.
early 30s and I'm falling apart.
Right.
So I couldn't do it, and other reasons too. But yeah, it's a tough job. But
Yeah.
I went back a few years ago and helped out for a month or two.
Yeah, God bless you.
Yeah.
It was just one of those. I thought I'm glad I had that experience once, but if you call and say, "Hey, Mike, can you help me with some sod?" I'm probably going to be busy that weekend.
Yeah, I won't. Don't worry, because if somebody calls me,
Yeah.
I'm also going to be busy.
Well, and you got people.
Yeah, I sure do. And people still do come to me. Hey, do you still? I said, well, I give you my dad's number. Give you my dad and my brother's number. They would be more than happy. You let me know if you got something you need sold. So I think we talked.
Have you ever tied that sod and sold?
Sod and sold?
Yeah, you're a sod guy with an L or something like that.
No. Huh. Wow. Just thought about it.
Yeah.
I've always done I love my family, and I'm super proud of the business and the reputation that they've built in our community since 1966 is when the business started. So it's been around a long time. But one of the things I've tried to do, and it was when I first met you, you said like one of the challenges you're going to face is changing people from hearing your name and thinking, oh, sod to, oh, real estate. Mm-hmm. And it was a challenge. It was a big challenge. I've done a pretty good job of it. But that was tough. My whole life growing up,
right.
I'd go to school and they take attendance, and then they'd go through the whole class. They get to pee. I'd go, oh, the sod people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's us. And it's great because it's never
right.
It's
right.
They've built a good reputation.
Very positive.
But I've kind of worked hard to make a separation.
And you had to.
Right. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe some of these builders that I've known since I was 17 would let me list some of their houses.
Well, you're at a point now, again, you know how to utilize that list and work those people as well as anybody. And I would not shy away from that. But if you didn't separate it, it would have confused people. And part of that is just time anyway.
Yeah.
The more you're in the business, the more people get to do that. But conscious effort in the beginning helped you. I can believe that.
Yeah, I had to. So I think it was before we even started recording, but you were talking about something that I've always kind of wondered. What'd you say? 85% of people don't make it in this business?
After
85
2
to
years,
90?
between 80 to 85% are out after 2 years. That was the stat last time I saw it.
All right.
About 50% after year one, and then about 80% after year two.
Yikes. It's not good.
Well, people don't understand what it is.
No.
And it's one of the hardest businesses. Well, I'm familiar with it. That's why I say that. I shouldn't say it's the hardest. But if you don't understand what it is, and it does look a little glamorous on the outside. People love looking at houses.
So
they love
glamorous.
showing houses, and everybody gets along. And the closings we're in, and you know, the majority of those are pretty good. And somebody's happy, the seller's happy, the buyer's happy. So, and you get paid for doing that. And there's so many people that think, I'll just come in, and you know, it'll be easy, and let's do that. And it's 100% the opposite of that, because looking at houses never gets a deal done. You got to be, and you have to go work to get these people. And people know who I am. I mean, I grew up here, and you come in, and then all of a sudden, and that's not even the hard part. The hard part is you get it put together, and then things go wrong. And I've told everybody over the years, the one thing that is missed in the interview process, or when you're a new agent coming in, is the emotional roller coaster that you get on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, if you can't take it, this business will eat you alive.
That's no joke.
And and I try to tell every agent, be careful, because you're going to have, you probably heard it, you're going to have 3 or 4 deals going in on top of the world, and 2 of them are going to fall apart, and one of them's going to have a bad, and now you're down to 1 deal. And if you can't, I know if they can see me, but if you can't take that ride and you can't pick yourself back up, you're not going to survive. And there's some people that just can't. They cannot take that emotional up and down. They're not, again, I'm going to say they're not built for it. They're not prepared for that independent owner type status. They're better off in a more structured environment. It works better for them.
And it's not even like, oh, you're not built for it. Like, you're not cut out for it. It's if you don't want to subject yourself to that, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. I understand. I would understand somebody who has success in this business, somebody who makes a good living in this business, just going, I don't want to deal with this emotional stress anymore. Right. I'm moving on to something else. I would totally get it and not think any less of that person.
Right.
Because it's a lot.
Well, you said you didn't have any gray hair. That gray hair's earned.
Yeah, buddy.
Because the stress will wear on you.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out ways, again, that's that disengagement, that's taking that vacation, getting away, recharging a little bit, whatever it is that makes you happy. But you have to do that, because if you don't, this business is like a black hole as well. It will suck you in, and you know, you'll wake up a year later and go, I haven't had a weekend off, I haven't done anything, blah, 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 blah. And it beats you up.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of that.
We are big theme park people. We love rides. And I didn't even realize it, but Amanda asked me this morning, what was the last ride you went on? And I had to think. I think we went to Epcot in like 2022.
Well, I thought you were going to say 27 Main Street.
Oh,
that ride.
Yeah.
No, okay,
well,
sorry.
yeah. An actual physical roller coaster. But I think that was the last one. And at no point in our entire relationship, going back 20 years, have we gone this long between doing something like that, which is something that we love.
Yep.
And we just haven't. I haven't time. And it's like okay, all right, I've got to figure something out, because I need that for my mental health. Right. That's important. And I just hadn't thought about it. I've been so consumed and wrapped up with everything else we have going on that we haven't been on a ride in a while, and I need to do it.
So, and that's where hopefully some of the stuff that we can do going forward is kind of the stuff I just want to talk about.
Yeah.
And on a little more consistent basis, and say, hey, think about it. A little self-help, man.
I love it.
It makes a big difference.
I'm excited about that. So what I was starting to get at a little bit ago, and this is what happens anytime I talk to you, we can just talk. But you have met so many new agents in your life, right? You've managing for, remind me again?
33.
33 years. So in those 33 years, you probably couldn't even guess how many new agents you've met as a manager, more than you could count. Right off the bat, yes or no, do you have an inclination of, I think you might make it, and this probably isn't going to work for you? And then how accurate are you in your predictions?
I would say I have an inclination. I'm not very accurate.
Really?
Yeah. The hard part is there is no job description. You don't fit this. You're not tall enough to do this. You're not strong enough to. There is no model. So just trying to understand, and the more I did it over years and stuff, talking to agents, I did try to delve into a little bit about here's what it takes. Almost the paying the price side. If you're willing to pay the price, there isn't anybody that can't do this business.
Sure.
But you have to be willing to do it. And then, skill set we can develop. I can teach an 8th grader how to fill out a contract. I can't teach somebody how to calm down a client or take a call or get beat up a little bit and bounce back and stuff like that. And that's the really hard part.
Yes.
There's been people over the years that came in that were, if there was a model realtor, they were absolutely perfect. And I'm excited. And we hired them. And they never sold anything. They didn't go to work. They didn't do anything. There was a friend of mine, a guy I played ball with. He decided to get in the real estate business. Everybody loved him. Just a great guy. He got in. It was the first time he had a job that didn't require him to go to work all the time.
Sure.
Well, he started in the spring. Well, guess what he really loved doing? Was playing golf.
Golfing. See, I knew it. Yep.
And so he played golf all the time. And I'm like, hey. And then one time as golf season's wrapping up, I go by his little desk, and this was at Julie's, and he's got the newspaper out. I go, and he's circling jobs.
Yeah.
Because it's been 4 months, he hasn't sold anything. And he goes, I can't do this. Well, you chose not to do it.
Yeah.
And whether you can or not, but chose not to because he didn't go to work every day. He got some freedom. And that's a thing that can ruin some people too, or you have to be able to handle is that freedom is nice. And if you're not willing to get up and do the grind. So perfect person. I've interviewed people, and this happened years ago. There was somebody that I just said, not going to work. I asked Julie, we were at Coldwell Banker, I said, would you mind talking to, because I can't pull the trigger on this. And she came back and she goes, Mike, I think you ought to give it a try. And I'm like, Julie, I mean, all the respect in the world, but, that agent was a great agent for I don't know how long. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Really? So
when we stop recording, I'm gonna have to know who that is.
I'm not even sure I can remember it now, because it's probably been more than one. But that's the hard part. Is there's some that should make it, some that don't, and if I could pick them out, I would have done it.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's a lot of it is personality type. When you sit down and you meet somebody for the first time and you can see how they're just engaging with you, it's like, okay, the personality type is there. So this is going to work. If you're sitting down at if you go in and it's a potential new client and you're sitting down at their table and you're talking to them the way you're talking to me, this is going to go well.
Right.
But then there's that other part of it of, are you willing to put in the effort to put yourself at that table?
Right.
Because that's, I think, what a lot of people assume is they get their real estate license, and a lot of it, and I talk about this all the time, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, all of the real estate TV shows out there that the
glamorizes
reality shows that portray these luxury realtors sell in, it makes it look like something it isn't. And so people get, and then even just working with a realtor locally, if I show somebody 5 houses over a weekend, they buy one of them, inspection's good, then it's just, we just coast on to the closing table, and they go, I think I'd be interested in doing your job. And okay,
yep.
But the perception of I'm going to get my license. I'm going to put a Facebook post out there. Just say, hey, everybody, I'm a realtor now. And then I'm just going to collect checks.
Right.
Because that's what happens next. I'm going to just go open some doors, look at some fancy houses. They don't see that. For one, we've got a lot of agents in town. We've got a lot of really good agents in town. And what I stress to people all the time is after I teach them what, if they don't already know, what a sphere of influence is, because that's so important. Right. You have to know what that is, and you have to know how to utilize that. But then understand, like a Venn diagram, those people are in someone else's too.
Correct.
So just because you got your license and you told that person, either they scrolled up, across your post, or you even reached out in person and said, "Hey, I'm a realtor now." Just because that happened that one time does not mean that now you're their realtor for life. So it takes effort to convert a few people in your sphere to just taking a chance on you to get going. And then if you do a good enough job and you stay on top of it and you stay present so when people start hearing about real estate, they associate you. Oh, who do I know in real estate? It's you.
Yep.
Like, that takes work to get to that point. It doesn't happen automatically. And I think a lot of people think that it does.
And then you go through that cycle of that first year or two where you're working so hard to develop the business. The ones you do have, you let fade away.
Yeah.
The consumers have no idea that they're supposed to be yours for life. It's your job to keep that relationship. And so we talk about that a lot, which again, when you're scrapping for a paycheck and stuff like that, that follow up with that somebody that bought 6 months ago isn't top of mind.
Yeah.
And then, here comes Mike and he goes, well, don't forget about that. And you're like, okay, Mike, yeah, I got to find another listing. I got to find another buyer and stuff. And then you got to go back and rekindle those relationships. Time helps with all that kind of stuff, but it is, and it's a tricky business. There was an newer agent, still in the business, and I do know this one is.
Yeah.
But first listing, so she came to me and we worked on this listing. It was in Chatham, and we kind of prepared, and I went with her on this listing presentation. So I told her all the stuff to think about, and we sat down with this Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and she said, okay, da-da-da, and here's what they think the price is. And they said, okay. And here's what the cost is going to be. And they said, okay. And she's like, well, I think we should, maybe paint whatever it was that they said, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's talking. I go, well, finally, it's like, okay. They go, do we just sign? And they signed. And I'd met her at the house, and we were going back to the office. And on the way back to the office, I called her. And I said, let me explain something to you. This is not how it works. I just want you to, anything that we said, they just looked, they were the greatest sellers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I go, you got the good one. This may have ruined you because this is not the way they generally go. And she goes, well, that was really easy. I go, okay. And she's still at it today. So but I panicked because I thought, that's unfair to her to be that easy the first time.
What a terrible first impression.
Terrible, I know. Yeah. So but do you want the worst one? There's no right answer. But I did. I didn't even wait to get to the office. I called her and said, this is not how this goes every time. So don't.
My very first listing was the target of a Craigslist scam. And on top of that, they're friends of ours. We ended up, it was an acquaintance. It was somebody I knew, but wasn't necessarily friends with. Somebody I went to school with. That I just, we were social media friends. So part of my reaching out once I got licensed to let everybody know what I was doing actually turned into my first listing. They had a house that was for sale by owner. They didn't want to pay commission, but it wasn't selling. So they thought, well, Eric sent us a message. Let's give him a shot. And we ended up selling it. It was it happened, but they became like good friends of ours. We've gone on vacation with them, but it's kind of cool how that happened.
Yep.
But my very first one, I went in, they were like, well, we've already shown it to a few people, so we had to write it into the contract. If these people buy it, you don't get paid. It was so it was not without challenge.
Sure.
So
it wasn't that easy.
No, it wasn't the hardest. The inspection was kind of tricky, and that's where I met my friend Lucas McDowell. as much as you've meant to my career,
so is he.
So is Lucas.
So has he.
Yeah. So,
but it's interesting what you just said. This was a client, came from a sphere a little bit, that you traveled with.
Yeah.
You over the years, I have run into people that are friends of mine for life because they bought a house or sold a house,
yes,
or whatever the case may be, and that goes back to the fact that it means more than just a transaction. Early on in my career, there was another friend of mine and played ball with him. He was going to use me no matter what. We ended up buying a buy owner, and this was way before buy owners were willing to do that. But he said, I won't do it without you, because I'd showed him a bunch of houses. And so after the transaction, he would call anything that he had issue with. He called me twice because the mortgage payment didn't take out his escrow or something. And he goes, Mike, hey.
Called you.
I go, okay, well, I knew that my wife was at the same bank and stuff. So I just said, here's what we do. But somebody said, why is he bothering me with that? I go, are you kidding me? If he thinks of me for everything to do with real estate, and they bought 2 houses for me, referred me a bunch of business over the years, but that's the best thing. But he knew, I had the answers, or I could find the answers, and he knew that he could pick it up because I would take care of him, because I cared about the whole deal.
Yeah.
And he cared enough about me to keep me in a deal way back in the day when that was pretty unusual.
Those are the best.
It is.
Those clients who really appreciate and know your value, because I've had that too, where they're buying a buy owner, they're buying something, and they're like, well, I don't care what happens.
Yeah.
You've stuck with us and helped us. You're getting paid. You're being a part. I don't care what happens. You're a part of this.
Yes. Just for the record, this guy, though, when I was pitching softball, and he was a big left-hander, he would hit the ball at me as hard as he possibly could.
Well,
so that
friends.
was separate from real estate. I thought maybe I'd get a little. No, he tried to knock me over every time if he wasn't. So,
but what you said, I think, is super important too. We are. I always said we're like the central hub for everything that goes on with the real estate transaction. And I always tell, after closing, my client, I'm like, okay, well, and I say, well, I'm your realtor forever,
right,
just so you know. So I'm not going to come over and fix a leaky faucet, but if you have one, call me.
Yep.
If you need anything at all that has anything to do with your house, call me. I have contacts that do all this stuff, and I will get somebody over. Home ownership is not free. You don't get to come back and have the old owner pay for stuff or anything like that. Like, you're going to have to cut the check. But I can put you in touch with somebody that'll do a good job. So I want them to, if something goes wrong, I want them to call me.
Well, we talked about earlier about problem solving, and then me knowing some of the answers of things.
Yeah.
You know the answers to so many things because you've done it. It's much easier to do something right on the front end than to fix it. So if you got to, if you want to do an addition, if you want to fix it, if you want to remodel, if you want to do something, to get that conversation with you, because A, you do have some resources, B, you also have some knowledge to say what, again, you talked about moving or does it make sense to spend $22,000 because I'm not probably going to get it? And it's so much easier to do that versus them having footings in and then calling you going, hey, is this a good idea? And that's people don't think of us sometimes as those kind of resources.
As soon as somebody makes any sort of contact and says, I'm thinking about doing this later, thinking about listing later, I always say, hey, let me come over now. Well, we're not ready. Right. We're still working on this. We're still deciding if we want to do them. So let me come over now. I'm not buying your house. It doesn't have to be show ready.
Correct.
But I can tell you, whatever you're thinking about doing, I can help you work through that. My guess is you're planning on doing things that take not only money, but even more importantly, time.
Yep.
That you don't need to do.
Right.
And like 100% of the time, that's been right.
Yeah.
They've been thinking they needed to do so much more. Yeah.
Said that.
Well, my uncle sold 2 houses.
Yeah. 27 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I love well, I did. I talked to my parents. They sold 4 houses. Oh, that was a good month for them, right?
Right.
Oh, in their life?
Right.
Oh.
So
maybe listen to me.
And that's And the thing is, it goes back to that relationship with because we want to do that.
Yeah.
If we become quasi friends because of this deal, I want to help you. Whether we're not friends, doesn't matter. If you're my client and we did something, I want to help you. And if I've got those resources, which you do, most of the people, if the general public heard you say Lucas McDowell, most of them aren't going to know who it is. Realtors know.
They're lost.
The people that have dealt with Lucas, and if you can get him, he's changed a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Just one of the best.
Yeah.
And having access to him is unbelievable for your clients if they let you do something with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one of those things that comes along. And it was another thing when I was like, okay, I need to, when I talk about building a team, that's another thing that it's like invaluable that you don't really think about when you are able to get together all of these contacts over time of people that help make these transactions go smoother. That's tough to make those contacts and those connections. It's tough to find a good electrician and a good plumber. It's tough to find a good roofer. It's tough to find, and then to get on their short list of where I know I can make that phone call and say, hey, I've got something here I need some help with, and they'll say, we're gonna make that happen for you.
Yep.
People don't realize how hard it is to establish those contacts. So that was something when I was putting the word out, hey, I want to build something, but not only do you get me access to me trying to help you build your business, but you have access to the contacts that I've built that you will understand one day how valuable that is.
But what's the bigger part of that? The next step, not just the contacts you have. What else do you have access to?
You're not. I've asked the questions here, Mike.
I'm sorry. Ketke runs the show. I can't ask a question.
What else do I do? What else do I have?
You have contact to 250 agents who have contacts.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you don't have that person,
I'm so disappointed in myself.
I was a little. You're so sharp most of the time. It must have been that sod work.
Yeah. A lot of time in the sun.
We see those messages and content and emails and people reaching out all the time. Who do you know that?
Yeah.
And then you've got a referral from somebody. And again, I'm not going to refer somebody that I don't have some faith in. I may know somebody that does it, but if I've never used them or don't know somebody, I'm not going to share that name with you so you can share it with your client. If I've had a good experience or know people that have, then I'm willing to do it. So they're already kind of pre-qualified to come in.
Yeah.
But not only just you, but everybody else that you work with.
Yeah, that's such a great call. And I use that all the time. I say, listen, we've got hundreds of great agents at our office. So if I don't know somebody else will, and it'll be somebody that they've worked with, who they trust. And if you've earned the trust of a realtor, that's a short list that a lot of people want to get on.
Correct.
So speaking of that, I reached out to our office a few days ago, needing a house to show, and I found one off market, and I got to be over there at 2.
Go.
So we got to wrap this thing
Absolutely.
up. Thank you so much for coming in. And so,
thanks for clarifying.
So everybody knows Mike is not leaving. I told you, people talk.
Yeah.
So I don't want people thinking, well, Mike's out of here.
Kathy Donovan said I can't. So
she's the boss. That's what I told Felix say when he came. I said, "This is Kathy. She's the boss." And she's, whoa. I said, well, you listen to Kathy, or there will be consequences.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And then you gotta help me get my next guest book. I'll tell you about it when
Okay.
we quit recording. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you hopefully next week.